Hello and welcome back to another episode of How This Indie Dev. Today I'm joined by my guest Wishbone Games. I first met Wishbone during a Blackthorn Prod game dev competition where he obliterated all of the judges' expectations by building this atmospheric horror game. It was filled with crazy beasts, interesting gameplay mechanics, and compelling environmental storytelling. He has gained a lot of popularity on YouTube by continuing to develop that game. He has about 80,000 YouTube subscribers and he has maybe the most entertaining devlogs that I've ever seen. In this conversation, we talk about ditching school in order to make games, the dread of being locked into a 9-to-5 job, treating your game project like a mistress, how to avoid burnout, being a purist as a game developer, games as a creative outlet, how to get players to experience different emotions in the games that you're developing, and much, much more. Now, Wishbone is a man of mystery, so you're not going to be able to see his face. Also, there were a couple times in this conversation where our internet connection was a little laggy, and so if there's any jumps in the conversation, that's because I cut out some bits where we're going back and forth saying, hey, can you hear me now? Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. There you go. This was a great conversation, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. Hello and welcome to another episode of How This Indie Dev. Today I'm joined by the one and only Wishbone Games, the man, the myth, the legend himself. We first met during the Blackthorn Prod game dev competition. I think it was the first one. I was a judge and you were a competitor. Since then I've been following a lot of the stuff that you've been doing and it's awesome. You're kicking butt doing game dev stuff and your YouTube channel is awesome. But for those who aren't familiar with your projects or what you're working on, can you just do like a quick introduction for kind of I don't know, who you are. Who is the essence of Wishbone Games?
All right. So I'm Wishbone Games. My name is Wishbone, and I make games. And so basically, I started making games 4 years ago, and I'm 19. I didn't really know what I was doing, and I still wouldn't say I know what I'm doing. But I've released 2 games so far, all to very no success. And then I'm working on my 3rd one right now, which is thankfully doing very well, wish lists wise and everything. And yeah, and I also have a YouTube channel where I make devlogs every blue moon.
Yeah.
So
I was just rewatching your last one and it's really good.
thank you.
And it's very long too, which I was surprised to see. It's like 20 something, 26 minutes or something.
Oh God, I was terrified to actually put that video out because I was like, every video I seem to make seems to get longer, and I don't mean to do that. I just feel like when I'm like gearing up to get a devlog out, I'm always scared I don't have enough content. Like I haven't made enough progress in the game, so I keep working. And it seems like every devlog I work a little bit longer because I'm like, I don't believe that I have enough, and then I realize like I have too much. Like originally this devlog was 34 minutes long. Like
Whoa.
I cut so much out.
That's wild.
And I still feel like I could have cut more, but you know, I want to like preserve like, my art, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Dang. So I'm trying to think back to we first intersected paths during the first Blackthorn Prod game dev competition. And it's really interesting. I just a couple days ago I had Lighthoof Dryden on and we were chatting about the Blackthorn Prod competition, and I just think it's so interesting because I've only experienced it from the vantage of a judge, and I'm interested to hear what your perspective was as a participant, because I know that like people put like a lot of effort into these projects and it just seemed like a grueling process.
I put my blood, sweat, tears, health on the line. I mean, everything. Actually, funny story. So when I received the invitation from Blackthorn Prod, it was actually the week before. We have this thing in Ireland called mock exams, and they're basically like a test run of your finals, and they happen like 4 months before your finals. So you get to like see like your pitfalls, or maybe just get a kick up the ass saying like showing you that you didn't study enough. And I got that invite right before they started, and my parents were expecting me, to like properly study for them. And at that point, I immediately said yes, like no questions asked. Like, I just, like, I remember telling my dad, like, I got in the car after school that day, and he was like, "So, what are you gonna study for first?" I'm like, "Well, actually, Dad, there's this competition, and I'm gonna make like 3 grand. And he's like, are you serious? And when's this happening? I'm like, the next 3 weeks. And he was like, the next 3 weeks is exams. And I just didn't care. So then the whole time, what I did was I'd go in for my exam. I'd do the first half hour. So I'd like actually try for half an hour. And then since each exam was 3 hours long, I'd spend the next 2.5 hours. I asked for like a spare sheet from the examiner, and I just start like planning what I'm doing later for Vermin. Like that's all I did. And like everyone was staring at me because like I was drawing things and stuff, and sometimes it was like physics, and they're like, what is he drawing? And they saw like I drew like a goat, and then like a big ass heart, and they're like, and after class my friends would ask me like, what is that? And I'm like, doesn't matter. And turns out, so after those 3 weeks, when we got our results, I failed 6 of my 7 exams.
Oh no.
But I came second in the competition, so no regrets.
That's amazing. Wow, that's like an extreme level of dedication. Is that Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was agreeing with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like I can't imagine like you just like I don't know, just going through that process of like, okay, here's like my school, but like really what I want to be doing is working on this game, and talking to your parents through that whole process. How did they take it?
Phew. I just like I didn't really tell my mom because she already doesn't like understand what I do. Like
Yeah.
I'll tell her like, oh, I put out a video, mom, and it got 300,000 views, and she's like, oh, cool. Are you gonna do the dishwasher? And I'm like, oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
But yeah, with my dad, it was more like I just like promised him. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna lock in with the finals. Like when they actually happen, I'm gonna lock in. Just let me do this. And he was like, fine. And yeah, challenge was sleepless nights. Like I stayed up till I want to say 2 a.m. on like weekdays, and then every weekend we'd have to like have a build ready.
Yeah.
And then I'd stay up till like whenever it was ready. So sometimes I wouldn't sleep, and then I'd just join the call. And I don't regret it, and I look back really fondly on that time, but I will also never do that again.
Yeah.
You can't pay me enough to do that again. But I loved it.
Yeah. That's brutal. And as far as like your how was your like how many subscribers did you have on YouTube when you did that competition? Is that something that were you hoping to I don't know. I'm really interested in talking through like the contrast of trying to balance like YouTube and game development, because there's such like a that it's hard to do both. Both of them can be like more than full-time projects that you sink your time into. And so I don't know, where was your mindset at for joining this competition? Were you thinking like, okay, I want to like make the best game, or were you thinking like, oh, this will help my YouTube channel to like get people to come check out my videos, or like what were you thinking?
I think my mindset going into it was like damn near crazy. Like I was like dead set on like being the best. Jeez. Edit that out. No, I'm good. But I was like dead set on being the best, and like I was like, I will do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And then I talked to the others, and I found out how much they worked, and I was like, I'm just gonna outwork them. Easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like, it's impossible for me not to succeed if I just give it my all. Like
Yeah.
if I give it more time than anyone else gave it, I'm gonna get somewhere. And I did.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, as you could see, like skills is also a big part, which I didn't really have. So, but yeah, what was your other question? You said balancing game dev and YouTube?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I guess it really started off with just game dev. So when I first started, I didn't have a YouTube channel. I just made games.
Mm-hmm.
And then at a certain point, I was like, man, my game is so cool. Like I'd love to show it to someone. And so I put like my first clip on YouTube, and then I was able to share the link with my friends. And I was like, great, people get to see this.
Yeah.
And then over the next month, it got like 30 views. And I was like, I don't have 30 friends. Like, this is so cool. And then, so I just kept like putting little pieces of of my game out. Like I dropped bangers like avoid the milk at all costs, which is literally just like 30-second clip of like a really shitty obstacle I made.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, from there I started focusing more and more on YouTube, and then there came a time where I was like I went full in on YouTube and I only made games like for my YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And honestly, that was like the worst time of my career. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is yet, but
Yeah.
it was like the worst time because for me, it's so important to be proud of what I make.
Hmm.
Like above all else, I don't really care what happens, but if I'm not proud of what I make, I will hate it. So when I started putting out like these low effort games with a bunch of bugs, half finished assets, like plugged holes with the worst code you can imagine,
Mm-hmm.
I just felt awful. But it started getting views, and I was like, ugh, is this what I'm gonna have to do?
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, one of those videos popped. It was like 300,000 views. It was like I made a horror game, but like intentionally bad.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like the video popped off, and I'm thinking, huh, that's cool, but I'm so not proud because the game is awful.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so recently I've just transitioned more into just I work on my game, and then when I feel proud of it, when I feel ready to show it to people, I'll show it. But I've kind of after my Mario video, I don't know if you saw it, but
Mm-hmm.
that was like the turning point, I think, for me, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm never making a game again for like a challenge or a
Yeah.
video. Like it's so draining, and I don't get any fulfillment from it. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because from my perspective, I went back and I watched like a bunch of your earlier videos and then like went through this like there's a very clear transition where you took a shift with like the note that I took on here was that like your Subway Surfers video, it seemed like that was
Mhm.
like a very like distinctive shift in how you were approaching the videos that you were making. And I think from a viewer, and maybe I'm a little different because I have like a certain amount of game development background, but it's entertaining and impressive to watch like one video for one project, and like you get
Mhm.
it's like a captured story, and it's fun to be like swept along for the ride, and like you're like, okay, how do I create this like with these types of constraints, or like I want to make this certain project, and you get to see sort of like it's interesting to hear you say that you aren't proud of the end product, but I think that it's obvious that the way that you approach building these games and these projects, you should be proud of the fact that you are able to accomplish so much in such little time. So even though they're not like polished, like it's like
Mhm.
it is impressive to watch, I think.
Yeah, like I think it's impressive to watch, but I also feel like sometimes I'm feeding into this like false sense of like game development's easy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when I make Subway Surfers in 12 hours, what I'm really doing is I'm modeling the main character, I'm modeling the trains, and I'm making it run because that is
Yeah.
Subway Surfers. But there's
Yeah.
no like mechanical depth. I didn't
Right.
program any systems. Like there's nothing. So it looks impressive until you look closer. And I
Yeah.
think, yeah, that's kind of how I am on that.
Yeah. And so now you've realized that you can get good views by sort of like putting on this facade of like making things look presentable when there's not a lot of depth behind it. But now you're working on this big game, Vermin,
Mhm.
and you are going in deep with it, and then you're like taking your viewership along for the ride.
Yeah, so I'm like very proud of Vermin, but also just like I love like watching or just seeing clips of my like prior devlogs of Vermin because I always improve so much, and that's so
Mm-hmm.
exciting to me. And I love laughing at my previous self because
Mm-hmm.
it's like I know that like 3 months from now I'm gonna be laughing at my current self.
Yeah.
That's so exciting to me because that means I learned, and it's like yeah, and like in this devlog specifically, like I totally like dropped everything else. I'm doing gameplay.
Yeah.
And like that's what I focused on, and I learned so much about it, like
Mm-hmm.
stuff that I just never would have learned if I didn't dive headfirst into it.
Yeah.
And I think Vermin is like, I swear, like I think Vermin would have actually flopped if I left it the way it was in the previous devlog. Like it was just, I could not, like I had this like section of the map, and I could not for the life of me squeeze more than 45 seconds of gameplay out of it. And I was like, how? Like this doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when like I took you along for the ride in this devlog of me realizing like, hold on, if I just open the map up and I give the player like an option to go kind of wherever they want and let emergent gameplay take care of the rest,
Mm-hmm.
like I got like 5 minutes of gameplay out of nothing. I like painted some trees in an area, and like all of a sudden it was exciting. Like
Yeah.
and yeah, from there on, that's when I really just locked in on game design, and I think I've gained like a much greater appreciation for like game systems and like the way they can just absolutely transform something that's otherwise not even impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And I got this book about game design. It's by Tynan Sylvester. He made Rimworld.
Oh yeah.
And the book is it's called Engineering Experiences.
Hmm.
And I think that's such an interesting way to put it, because before I was like I didn't know what a game was, you know? And when he talks about like each game is an experience, but that's to the player. Like and the game itself should be a system for generating experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really cool
Yeah.
because it shows how like you're really building something that will reliably output a similar experience for each player.
Mm-hmm.
And that let me kind of just realize my pitfalls.
Yeah.
That was a very long answer.
No, that's such an interesting philosophy to game design in general, because I've had a similar issue where I used to focus on the how, you know, like I need to learn the technical skills, I want to learn how to program, and I want to, you know, learn how to use a game engine and incorporate art assets. And I thought that if I could really nail down the how, then the what would be fairly easy. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, oh, the what is actually difficult to figure out, and like designing something that is compelling for people to play and continue to play. It's a hard process, because my background was, you know, building infrastructure and portal websites for big companies, and it was very like discrete. Like you build this system, and then you can objectively test if it accomplishes the thing that you're trying to get it to do, you know, like store data in a database, or do like a data migration, or like add users, or whatever it is. But with games, it's inherently a subjective enterprise, and that makes it so much more difficult, but really compelling for as a designer to work on, because you're trying to figure out what encapsulates something that's fun, but not just fun, because especially for your game Vermin, you're trying to make it fun, but you're also trying to evoke emotions that aren't just like playful, and you know, you're trying to, there's like a horror aspect that draws people in too. Is that something that you always knew that you wanted to do with the game?
Definitely. I think like I really hate when people say like, oh, games have to be fun, or like I don't know how to make my game fun, because if we're talking about experiences and emotions, like that's just scratching the surface. It's like does a painting have to be beautiful? Does a movie have to be exciting? Like no, you know, because it's art. And obviously like the most mainstream stuff, like I don't know, fun games, beautiful paintings, pop music, exciting movies, they're like mainstream because people that don't appreciate the art can still get into it and they can still enjoy it. But for the people that actually care about the art, usually the mainstream stuff is not what they aim for. So like with Vermin, I don't want the player to have fun. I want them to like, I want to introduce them to this world where everything is suffering, and it's because of you, but also because of, I won't spoil anything, but like suffering is what I really want to get across
Mm-hmm.
to people. And I think an interesting thing is you can do that with game design. Like, it's so cool. Like, I can give the player the experience of suffering,
Yeah.
which sounds weird, but like, I can do that. And it's so like exciting to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like, for me, I'm like one of those weird, like, I don't know what to like classify it as, but like, I I enjoy different games or different parts of games. So like,
Mm-hmm.
for example, I love like atmosphere and like emotions and storytelling. Like, that's like what I'm into.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably the part that led me astray the most, because that's what I saw in games. I didn't see the
Mm-hmm.
mechanics and the I didn't even see the genre half the time. I
Yeah.
just clicked on it because it looked cool.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like, retrospectively looking back at those games I played, I was like, oh, this is a roguelike. This is a survival horror game. And I was like, huh, that makes sense. And
Mm-hmm.
then, yeah. But, oh, I lost the thread.
Yeah, no
I
worries.
keep trailing off, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's what podcasts are for. Uh, so it's interesting. You were talking about suffering as like a main pillar of your game design and like the theme and the mood, um, which is like very serious and dark. And when I watch your devlogs, they are like so like they there's very few game dev YouTubers that I watch that make me laugh out loud, but your videos make me laugh out loud every time. And I
Oh,
was trying to like think through like it's like the dry witty humor, and then there's like a sense of like irreverence, you know, it's like a bit irreverent. And I think your commitment to the bits that you have is just like completely my sense of humor, where I like you just like make a comment that takes like 1 second to get across, or like a quick clip, and
mm,
I'm just thinking in the back of my head like I've made video games, I've made YouTube videos, like that probably took him like 3 hours for like 1 second of, you know, like, and I'm like, and he just went and like did it. So it's like it's an interesting juxtaposition for me where you're like working on this like dark horror game, but your
mm.
devlogs are very entertaining and funny. And is that something that you do by choice, or like how did you come about that naturally?
I feel like, oh, that's such a good question, because I feel like I came about that naturally, in the sense that, like, while I am a goofy person and like most of the things I actually say in my videos I probably do, but it's like my interests within like art and stuff, like, I'm real, like, it's really serious. I don't
Mhm.
know how to explain it. Like, when I play a game and there's someone sitting next to me and they say a joke, I'm not laughing, because I'm like, I'm thinking this is serious. Like,
Mhm.
I'm really like horror for me is really serious topic, and like it covers serious topics, and I
Mhm.
think, to me, that's really interesting, and I really want to explore that. And I feel like it is kind of weird that
Mhm.
then I'm like a goofy person.
Mhm.
But I think, like, I feel like games or art is like my serious outlet, and then my YouTube channel is like my goofy outlet.
Oh yeah.
And I kind of
Okay.
need both to survive, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I do think that it kind of gives a weird like contrast, because I've seen people like send me like the Mr. Incredible meme, where it's like he's all happy on one side and then it's like posterized dark on the other side, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like the game,
Yeah.
and like,
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like I need both to survive. But if I was ever gonna lean in more of a direction in one way or another, I'd definitely go serious,
Mhm. Yeah.
because that's just like, to me, that's so, I don't know, like, I have so much to say, I feel like, in that
Oh,
realm.
you're breaking up. Oh, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, good. Okay. I lost you for a second. Um, the cool thing sorry, I'll respond to that, but just like real quick, the cool thing that I like about Riverside is that if one of our internet connections dips, it'll downgrade the quality of our video feed, but it's still recording in the native resolution and uploading it in the background. So
That's
like
crazy.
even if we get like lag spikes, it should still like have the raw video, which is cool. So anyway,
That's really cool.
um not sponsored.
Yet.
Yeah, I actually had one lined up for them, and then they ghosted me. So that's lame. But and I actually am a little worried about the lady that I was emailing. I'm like, is she okay? Because we had like everything lined up, and then like I haven't heard from her, and I tried reaching out. I'm like, maybe she got fired or something. I don't know.
You need to check in on her.
Yeah, exactly. Start the manhunt. Okay, sorry. I had a follow-up question that completely slipped my mind. Okay. So yeah, like it's interesting to hear about your process specifically, because you seem like somebody who genuinely enjoys his craft. Like like it seems like I watch some YouTube videos where people are like talking about their game, and it seems more like a grind, or it seems like they have like they are moving towards an end goal, and so they're trying to like push through the development process so that they can, you know, get to the end or the launch or whatever. But the sense that I get when I watch your videos is that you are enjoying the process, and you are making I don't know how to say it. Maybe you can put better words to it than I could, but just that you are the thing that you are concentrating on is the process and not necessarily the product. Well, yeah, I don't know. How would you think through that?
Well, I think like first of all, process equates to product. Like so, but yeah, I mean like I love every part of game development so far. Like I haven't found a part where I was like actually hating it. So like anything, I'm like so enthusiastic about like sound design. Like I really want to learn about it like so much. I'm like so excited even talking about that. And then, but I also love 3D modeling. Like 3D art is actually kind of like I did that before, well, sort of like at the start of game development. I did Fiverr on the side, and I did like product design and stuff like that.
Nice.
So like I loved 3D modeling a lot, and then like now I'm like in my game design era, I guess. Next I want to go sound design, and I just love like all the bits and pieces that go into a game. It makes me really excited.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean I really wouldn't say there's any part of game development that I'd like want to skip.
That's awesome. I'm reflecting on like my own journey into game development, and I went to university to learn programming. I got a degree in computer science, and before that, I didn't have any experience with programming or anything. And then it wasn't until I went into the workforce and worked for a few years that I was like, this is pretty boring. I want to do something more interesting, and that's when I started getting into game development. And so it's crazy to think that you are 19. I'm 30 now. You're 19 years old. I know. I look great for my age. Am I right?
You look great.
Yeah.
I thought you were. I was like, this man looks 21. I'm not kidding. Like I actually thought about that. I was like, wow, and he's already got a family and everything. That's so cool.
Oh yeah.
30. No, that's
I'm
crazy.
30.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all downhill from here.
Doesn't have to be.
Yeah. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah. So I was trying to like think about like, you know, what was I doing when I was 19? And it was like nothing that was related to any potential like career, really. You know, it was like just like a general sort of education. And so do you, like, you're obviously a very driven individual. Do you see yourself sticking with game development long term, or are you still trying to like look into these different areas where you could see yourself going in the distant future?
I think me and games are like this for life. Honestly, like I just love them so much, and I feel like the part of the reason is because there's like so much goes into it. Like if I'm interested in cinematography, I can make a game. If I'm interested in sound design, I can make a game. Like it doesn't really matter. do I want to be an architect? I'll just make a game about architecture, you know?
Yeah, right.
And so like I feel like I can explore pretty much anything I want. But that being said, like I do want to try make like a short film. I'd love to do that. And like I also really like poetry. I know that's weird, but like I like it. So
Yeah.
I'd totally do stuff with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And like talking about like work and stuff, like that's kind of it sounds weird, but that's like my biggest fear, like getting a 9 to 5. I really, really, I I want to like jump out of my skin when I think about that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of just because like I never liked school. I like struggled so much, like with concentrating and stuff. Like in school, actually, I was at my most creative. That's when I came up with like all my game ideas, and that's when I like, anyway. So like, I really, that was part of the reason why I was so driven, because I really like, I just want to avoid the 9 to 5 at all costs, because I feel like it would just like, for me, like inspiration and creativity, I need to do it on my own terms.
Mm-hmm.
Like as soon as there's a single rule in there, like it feels like someone stuck a branch in my bicycle bicycle tire, you know?
Yeah.
I'll just fall on my face. Like I need like exact creative control. I want to work exactly when I want to, and I want to set my own deadlines. Or better yet, I want to have no deadlines.
Yeah.
So just thinking of a job where like I'd sit down, I'd work on something I'm not like passionate about, and then I'd come home tired, and then like I wouldn't want to do anything after that. Like yeah. Actually the reason I like proper locked in on making games was one summer. It was while making Thanks Taking. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that game, which was my first game I ever released. I was looking for a summer job like all the other people in my year, and like I didn't have any like work under my belt, so like I literally like my CV, I just handed in like a blank template and I said like 3D modeler on it. And I applied to like Abracababra, which is like a kebab place. And they're like, but I really like so nobody like took me. And like I remember like I got so desperate, like I asked my friend like, "Hey, can you put a good word in for your manager before I get there?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got you, bro." I show up, we do like an interview, and as I'm walking away this way, my friend says his manager turns around and just goes like,
Oh no.
so nobody hired me that summer, and that's when I like decided I'm like I gotta make this work.
Yeah.
And since then, I'm so happy I did that, because I could still be like, none of this would have happened if I got like a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I would have just been tired.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's so relatable for me, because I had a 9 to 5 and I was trying to do game development and also kickstart a YouTube channel, and it was just so difficult for me to find the time for it. And the energy as well, but like it was just I couldn't juggle it all, and then I finally realized I had to go all in and take the time to properly kickstart launching games on different consoles and trying to make better YouTube videos and stuff. And yeah, I'm still not making like a ton of money, but I am growing in like a really cool direction that I don't think I could do if I was sustaining a full-time job at the same time.
Sorry, you cut out, but then
Oh,
it like said everything you said again. So I heard
like
everything.
super fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I just feel like like 9 to 5s are definitely for someone, but it's definitely not me, because I always like, even in like school, like I just hated like teachers telling me to do something, and then I'd have to like take time out of my day to do it, and then like I don't like having like a schedule or a deadline. So I just wouldn't fit the mold, I don't think.
Yeah, I had this like epiphany moment where I graduated from university and I got my job as a software consultant and doing a lot of server infrastructure DevOps stuff, and I didn't hate it, but then I came to the realization that like people typically have a a set path for education before they enter the workforce, and there's always new stuff. And then you're like, okay, now I'm going into this new school, or now I'm studying this, and there's always like this feeling of
Mm-hmm.
progression. And I realized that if I didn't take any initiative, I would be at this same job for like the next 30 years or whatever. And just realizing that terrified me because it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
a place that I wanted to see myself long term, but I didn't really realize that until I was there for a bit and realized that nothing would change unless I actually put some effort into changing something. And now it's awesome. Like, I have the best job in the world because I'm like doing YouTube and making games for Xbox and PlayStation and doing like contract
Mm-hmm.
work for games publishers. And I just got back from a 2 week trip in Iceland, and I took my,
Ooh.
yeah, dude, it was awesome. I don't know if you've been,
Oh,
but
that's so
Iceland
cool.
was gorgeous. And so we
I've
rented
always wanted to go.
yeah,
Yeah.
highly recommend. I rented a Sprinter van, and me, my wife, and my daughter just drove around to
Mm-hmm.
different waterfalls and just saw the countryside and like soaked in hot springs. And the cool thing is that I was able to integrate that with the work that I'm doing. And I actually made a sponsorship deal with the Sprinter van company. And so I'm doing a sponsored video with them. And so I got the vans for free, I did this thing where I developed a local multiplayer game while I was in Iceland, and then had random strangers come up and play the game. And so I set up like
Wow.
my laptop with 4 Xbox controllers next to like these floating icebergs in the background, and people are like coming in, checking it out. And just, I think it's going to be a really cool video. I'm excited to edit down all 7 hours of footage that I took. But
Ooh, yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome.
But
Wow.
just to say, like, that is like such a far reach from where my career was at, before I decided to get into game development. And I just feel like there's so much creativity in like the gig economy that's associated with that too. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like creativity is like my life force. Like I feel like I need it to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know how, but like cuz my friends say they don't do this, but for me like when anything's happening, like an idea can pop into my head and I just need to write it down real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could be at a lecture and my lecturer could be saying something about like I don't know how dogs never walk upside down, and then I'll think about like a game idea or something, and it's
Yep.
like I just need to write it down. And same happens for my jokes actually. So for my videos, the reason I need to wait so long, obviously I need to wait so long cuz progress needs to be made, but
Mm-hmm.
also cuz like I just like passively get joke ideas throughout the day and I
Yeah.
just write them down.
Yeah.
And so when it comes time to like write a devlog, I have so many jokes to choose from,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like it's always so fun to do that.
Yeah.
And yeah,
That's awesome. So that's like a very organic process as you're developing things. Do you ever have to sit down and you're like, okay, like I want to put a video out. Now I need to come up with jokes or like a structure for a video. Do you have like dedicated time for video planning, or do you just let it happen as you're making progress on your game?
I just let it happen. So
Yeah.
like I literally like I can be working on Vermin and then I'll switch to Google Docs real quick and I'll write something down that I came up with. And
Mm-hmm.
then like 5 months from now when I make the video, I'll use that little prompt I gave myself to make a joke
Yeah.
or something. And I really enjoy this, and that's why I feel like people don't get like I can't really push out a video every month
Mm-hmm.
because first of all I will have made no progress. Like I'll be like, hey guys, this week I patched this hole in the ground at coordinates x equals 200, and
Yeah.
I also added this cube if you can see it, and it's like no
Yeah.
one cares.
Yep.
So yeah, I really have to like distill my process down actually for videos because there still is a lot of like boring stuff that people wouldn't care about,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I turn that into a
Mm-hmm.
gag, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
and then other times I just have to cut it because it's really not worth talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Do
But
you?
yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry,
No, go ahead.
yeah, I don't know. I see like my videos also as like art,
Mm-hmm.
and I like taking my time and doing it on my terms. And like same with like that's why I like specifically chose the sponsor I have because they didn't say like, oh, put this in the first 2 minutes, or they didn't say I don't know, make the feature 6 minutes long, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I have enough creative freedom with it that I feel comfortable incorporating it in my video.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So you seem to me like a purist as far as it comes to like creativity and art, and like you really enjoy the creative process, and you want to keep your um your creations and all of your activity going into that as like pure as possible, and so that you
Mm-hmm.
can have control over how things are being established and coming to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
And I was gonna ask a question, I forgot what it was. uh oh, okay, yeah, so like, so the hard part that I've had with that is like there's like this, all artists it seems like have this tension of like creating art for art's sake and then like monetizing it. And
Mm-hmm.
and the hard thing for me is like, I can focus on making a game that I think is like really good and focus on the quality of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But then the other part of me is like, okay, I need to publish something within this time frame, like within like 3 or 6 months, so that I have like more income coming in. And the same with YouTube videos, where it's like, I want to make this video, but I know if I make a video about this, it's going to get more views and grow the channel more. And so, do you fight with that tension, or how do you reconcile that?
Who I used to fight with that, and I used to let it win. So that's when I'd make like one of the challenge videos where I just make a game for video's sake,
Mm-hmm.
and I like it. Sometimes it did well, and I was happy about that. But it's like what I said at the start. Like I wasn't proud of it, so I did not want to do it again, really.
Mm-hmm.
And so with like I'm in a fortunate place right now because I'm still young and I don't have, family to feed and I don't have rent to pay yet. So
Mm-hmm.
I get to be more unplanned
Yeah.
with things that I do. And I actually am scared of the time, like in 3 years' time when I'm done college, I'll have to find a place to live. I'll
Yeah.
have to start thinking about how do I make an income that's semi reliable. And
Mm-hmm.
but I just hope by then, like, I'll have everything will be figured out by then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, my wife and I have an ongoing conversation about like my work, and how I took like a very significant pay cut to be doing what I'm doing now, but there's like more benefits to that with the promise of future growth, but also like freedom and autonomy and all of this stuff. But one thing that's very obvious is that as I'm working on my own projects and developing games and releasing them, I'm accruing skills that are highly employable. And so people reach out to me for like contract positions, or like they want like consulting advice for porting to consoles and like all of these things. And you're doing that as well, where you are just becoming a very well-rounded game developer, where
Mm.
it's like maybe your career on releasing your own games and making YouTube videos isn't as lucrative as you wish it would be, but it's not like you're going to be like falling back on nothing, because you're like learning and building up all of these skills. But I'm wondering, so you're in college right now. What are you studying?
Mm-hmm. I'm getting a bachelor's in computer science,
Yeah,
just like
sick.
you.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I have found it to be like sort of useful. Like I sometimes I come home with like an extra programming pattern I didn't know about,
Yeah.
and I'll add it to Vermin.
Yeah.
But usually it's like I'm the only reason I'm doing it is because it's a nice like floor to fall back on
Yeah.
if something doesn't work out.
Yeah. Totally.
But yeah, I feel like your question was longer, but I forgot the rest.
Um, I don't know if it really wasn't. I think that was just one thing that I wanted to ask you about is your inspiration. So I think that you make very unique videos on YouTube. You're making a very unique game that you're going to launch on Steam. Where do you look to for inspiration for these things? Do you have like people that you follow on YouTube that you like to emulate, or do you have like one or two pivotal inspirational games that you take things and put them into Vermin?
So on the YouTube side, like definitely, I mean, I grew up from a little kid watching YouTube, so
Yeah.
like I feel like my personality's definitely taken on parts of other YouTubers, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not like ashamed to admit that.
Yep.
Um, but like I definitely like my personality, that's not like that has not been like altered. Like
Yeah.
that is actually me. But like obviously like the tendencies, maybe camera angles and stuff, like I know that people compare me a lot to I Did a Thing,
Mm-hmm.
who's like he like engineers stuff.
Yeah.
And that's because like I used to watch like I used to before watching game development, I used to watch like engineering YouTube. So I'd watch
Mm-hmm.
like Alan Pan, William Osman, Michael
Mm-hmm.
Reeves, I Did a Thing, stuff
Mm-hmm.
made here.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like that's probably where I got some inspiration from as well.
Yeah.
But okay, people do say the feet thing is like, oh yeah, that's definitely like from I Did a Thing.
Uh-huh.
It's actually not because what was happening in my life around the time I tried like added feet to my videos is like my friends kept making fun of me because every time I'd like send them a picture of something, my feet would make it in there. And I didn't mean to do that. But like I walk around the house barefoot all the time.
Uh-huh.
And so when I sent a picture, like they'd be like, "Hey, what's that brownie mix we used?" And then I'd like take a picture pointing down, and they'd see my big toe, and like that's just kind of where it evolved from. And then I think the catalyst to like actually doing that was like during quarantine, like the kind of last few days of it, I had to submit an assignment to one of my teachers, and like he was relatively new, he didn't really know me. And I don't know how, but I like took a picture of my essay, and like the corner had like an a hairy, dirty, like untrimmed toe just just sitting there. And I didn't know it was there until like he sent me back like the same screenshot but graded,
Uh-huh.
and my toe was there. And I was like, "Oh my god, that's crazy." And so like
That's
that's
hilarious.
just a part of my personality now, I guess.
That's so funny. What was your thought process behind not showing your face in your videos? Is that something that you did as like a bit or a gag, or for privacy concerns, or like being self-conscious, or like what? Well, how did that become like a normal thing in your videos?
Well, I started off like when I started YouTube, I didn't even want to use my voice because
Yeah.
I was 15,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't exactly have the greatest voice.
Yeah.
And when I started showing myself, I was like, okay, voice was already too far. So, I'm definitely not showing my face
Mm-hmm.
cuz and it wasn't about like it was just privacy. Like I was just like if I do something stupid online and someone has a problem with that, I don't want them to hunt me down.
Yeah.
So I just prefer like staying faceless, and I feel like one day I probably will reveal my face in one way or another, or I'll
Mm-hmm.
just get doxxed by someone.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine, but like for now, I just enjoy this. And honestly, like the reason like this whole fit exists is to be like its own character, you know.
Yeah.
And so
Totally.
I feel like even like the body language I do and everything like that all like came from the fact the constraint. I think constraints are great for creativity. That came from the constraint that like faces are very emotive.
Yeah.
And so I saw this YouTube video from Film Booth when I first started, and he said like, "Oh, put yourself in your video, it makes your retention better."
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking like, I believe you, but I don't want to
Yeah.
do that.
Right.
But I was like, he never said face.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I got my idea from, and then spiraled.
Yeah. I think it's great. I think that it gives your online presence a lot more personality.
Yeah. definitely. Because I feel like if I included my face, I probably wouldn't have made myself a goofy outfit,
Yeah,
you know? Because I
totally.
would have. I don't know. Like I feel like here down is like its own character,
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
and like it doesn't need a head anymore. I feel like.
That's funny. So you have like 70 or 80,000 YouTube subscribers,
Hmm.
and I'm interested like how what's your relationship to your viewer base? Like how do you is it like do you ever interact with like comments or like I don't know, do you have like a Discord channel where you chat with people who watch your videos or like how do you get feedback from people? Do you read comments? Like what is your like interaction like with your audience?
I definitely read comments, and I'm like, I feel very fortunate that I've somehow like cultivated, I don't know if I should call it fan base, but I'll call it fan base.
Mm-hmm.
That I cultivated this community that like is really positive. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how. Like you go to any corner of the internet and it's just toxic. People hate this, but I hate that, and now I hate you for hating that, but I
Yeah.
hate you for hating this, and it's just like, it's so awful usually. And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know how I did this, but everyone is just like either just giving me constructive criticism, or they say, "Oh, that part was funny," or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
or a lot of ideas. Like I don't
Yeah.
know if that's normal,
Mm-hmm.
but like the amount of people that offer ideas to me is crazy.
Hmm.
And I feel sort of bad for like not taking them on, but I feel like I have like this very specific vision. Like I see things in my head and I hear things. Okay, now I sound schizophrenic. I just mean like
Do
I
you hear things right now?
no. Yeah, so like I just have like a very strong vision for the game, and I feel like it's partly my fault for not getting that across in my
Mm-hmm.
videos, but like when someone offers something like, "Hey man, I'd love like at the end of the game when you have your boss fight," and I was like, "I'm not even having a boss fight at the end of the game. Like, what do you mean?" Where someone was asking me like, "So like if your thing is Cold War era, your whole game, can you add like an M16 and make it like full auto?" And I was like, "That's not like it's a hunting game, and I want
Yeah,
it to
yeah.
feel scary. Like if I give you a 30-round magazine and let
Yeah.
you just let it rip in the forest, like
Right.
yeah." So I feel weird for not taking the suggestions, but I do like that people are like inspired by my game.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as Discord server goes, like I have one. I wouldn't say I interact too much because I don't know. I don't really like Discord, if that's like weird to say,
Mm-hmm.
or like any social media. I know YouTube is a social media as well, but like I don't have Instagram. I don't have TikTok.
Yeah.
I don't really use Discord because I feel like all of that is just sucking my energy away,
Yeah.
and it's not
Definitely.
giving me much back. So not a lot of interaction on Discord, but recently I started posting like updates on Vermin. So whenever I like make something, I'll just throw it up there. And a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
are really happy to get that, so
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep doing it.
That's awesome. You said earlier that you don't like having deadlines for projects. But what I've found for me is like without a deadline, that's the only thing that can dictate when I call a project done or finished or like ship it. And so, do you have? I haven't even checked your Steam page. Do you have a release date for Vermin, or like when do
Mm.
you would you feel comfortable enough to call it done?
Who I don't know, because I one of my favorite parts about making any sort of art is the last 5%. Like I love like finishing touches. That's
Hmm.
like the best part. But yeah, I mean like Vermin, I feel like gameplay's almost there. Like I could probably get away with it at the point it is now, but I want to
Mm-hmm.
obviously improve it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a matter of adding content to the game. So
Mm-hmm.
new creatures, new areas, and then voice acting, which is going to cost me an arm and a leg.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll only have one foot from now on. But like, you know, I think for me in my head, I have this timeline, but it doesn't there's no time at the bottom.
Yeah.
It's like a timeline, but like
Yeah.
timeless.
Yeah.
But like I'm somewhere around like 65%, I think, and it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna start slowly like coming together
Mm-hmm.
soon. And I was thinking like at the start of this year, I was like, okay, I just want to have it done this year. Like that would be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying I won't, but I don't really believe it.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely not like I will do anything to not spend 2 years on this game because I feel like that's just too much time on one project. Oh yeah, so I want to have it done this year, but I probably won't. But um, like I would do anything to just not have it go past the 2 year mark because
Yeah.
I'm at the 1 year mark right now,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
I can like I can deal with that. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I just have so many ideas, and it's like I don't think I have enough time in my life to make all the ideas I already have.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, definitely don't want to spend too much longer on it.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel comfortable sharing some of your ideas for future projects? Do you have one in mind that you are pretty set on tackling?
Well, so I have the thing is like my ideas really like I like games that like tell like send a message or like
Mm-hmm.
they have something to say, and I like for example I really like there was this horror game called Soma. I don't you
Oh yeah.
probably have,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that had like a fantastic story. And
Mm-hmm.
then also like games like This War of Mine, the
Mm-hmm.
fact that it like talks about war but not from the point of view of a super soldier, just average civilian, like how their lives are affected, like
Mm-hmm.
how it just destroys everything, you know?
Yeah.
So I want to like explore concepts with my games. And so I'd probably do something war related next,
Mm-hmm.
but also in sort of like This War of Mine way. And then but I also want to make something fun. So like I feel um like Vermin is so like dark and gloomy
Mm-hmm.
that I think my immediate next project is going to be something like fun,
Mm-hmm.
just like Jonas Tyreller's Throne Fall, like
Mm-hmm.
that type of feeling.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'd probably shoot for and just get it out like quick. That's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what I want. But after I want to go real conceptual. That's kind of what I don't know. That's just
Yeah.
what calls my name at the moment.
Yeah. I love that. That's such an interesting way to plan out a project. And I think that it falls in line with like the pure creative in you that like because I talk to other developers and they are like very the constraints that they put on themselves are like time and like marketability of ideas and like being able to like make money, and that's like kind of at the forefront of whatever I do next, it has to like check those boxes, and then I can figure out like how to be creative within that. But I
Mm-hmm.
think I think it's really cool to not have those as like boundaries from your ideation phase.
Yeah, I just like it again. I just have like very specific ideas for things and how I want them to go. And I like when I think of a game idea, I don't like a lot of the time. I just get this feeling, and then I have to go chase it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. So a lot of the time, I don't know what that feeling is yet.
Yeah.
And so it takes a lot of like exploring. That's why like Vermin, I feel like if I had like a checklist of things written out when I started, I would be done by now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the fact that I had to like third voice crack. The fact that I
We'll
had
put
to
a
like
counter in the corner.
that'll be funny. Um yeah, so like I just feel like I had to explore to find my game. And I think that's what Thomas Brush also says in his podcasts, like how like you have to like search for your game while you make it.
Yeah.
Like Michelangelo, who said his sculptures were already people like stuck in the rock and he's just freeing them.
Yeah.
Like that sort of thing.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
I hate that so much because I have a really hard time throwing away work. And so like the exploration phase where you're trying to see like, oh, does this work, or should I just like get rid of it or drastically change it? It feels very inefficient to me. And so it's like something
Hmm.
that but I know that that's like just part of the process. Like you cannot, like I've worked on games myself. I've worked on big teams, making like different games for different platforms. And, like the designers that I've worked with, they never get it right from the very beginning. There's all like they
Hmm.
have like a good core idea, but then there's always an iterative phase to it. And I think that that's something that's so important that I'm trying to like give myself space to work with too.
Yeah, actually, the book I was talking about, I'll just show it so anyone can get it if they want. I think this is a fantastic book, and that one basically talks about like it talks about how like the amount of iterations that a game goes through is what dictates its quality, not like the time spent on each iteration. Because
Interesting.
creativity is like a iterative process by default.
Mm-hmm.
So if you only do one iteration, no matter how much time you spent on the iteration, not enough. Or
Yeah.
just there's always better that you could achieve if you just looked at like you make a bit, you look at it, is it good? It's pretty good, but I'm gonna add this. You do it, you look at it again, and then you just keep going. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Interesting. I like that a lot. Do you ever how much do you iterate with your videos as far as like do you edit your own videos and like make your own
Oh
thumbnails
yeah.
and stuff? Yeah, yeah.
I don't know how I'd actually outsource that because
Yeah.
sometimes like my editing style sometimes feels like I don't even know what.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't think I could write a checklist for someone to follow to make a my type of video.
Right. So do you iterate on any of like the video creation or thumbnails too?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So for my scripts, I'm like very much a script person. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is my first time talking on the internet without a script.
Oh, nice.
Uh, so usually I write like first of all for my videos I'll bring you through the process. So first of
Mm-hmm.
all for my videos I'll write out just like a list of all the topics I want to cover,
Mm-hmm.
and then I already have a list of all the jokes I want because I've just been writing them in
Yeah.
throughout my whatever 5 months of working on Vermin,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just write my first draft, and usually it's like kind of ass, like it's not like
Yeah.
like even the intro sometimes I'm like, oh god, that's like I hope it's not going to be like that by the end.
Yeah.
And but it doesn't matter because for me, and I think this is a good thing for everyone listening to hear, you need to just like put something there. It like you can replace it later, but if you
Mm-hmm.
have something there to hold its place, you can now look at that thing and replace it.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you have something to replace, you're good. But if you just have a blank page and you're trying to come up with your best idea, it's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So write out like even your worst ideas and then look at them, go, this could be better, change it. Do that for all your ideas, look at it again, and then just repeat the process. So for my videos, I usually used to do 3 drafts, and now I did 7 for this last one. I'm not proud of it.
Wow.
But
That's
yeah,
crazy.
and that's when I cut out 8 minutes.
Yeah. Dang.
Yeah.
Is there any
So
stuff that you were like, oh man, I don't want to cut this, but I feel like I have to?
so much.
Yeah.
But I think that's actually what gives it some of the excitement because
Mm-hmm.
once you have all your ideas in one place and you know you have to remove some of them, like you know at that point you're sure that the gems are going to stay around.
Yeah.
But yeah. So like I just think like once you have all your ideas in one place and you already love them all, and like this is like the kill your babies mentality, like
Yeah.
go in and just find your worst baby. Easy.
I
Chop
think the
its head
phrase
off.
is kill your darlings. I don't think it's
Oh.
kill your babies.
My
I
bad.
like that version
That's
better,
my
though.
term now.
That's amazing.
That's iconic. Yeah. So just kill all the babies
Yeah.
and then let the others grow up. And by the time they grow up, they'll be your darlings. And then kill some of them, and then you have a fire video.
Oh, that's what I've been doing wrong.
Yeah. You gotta just let them mature.
Yeah. That's hilarious. It seems to me that like you you can tell me if this is right or wrong, but it seems like you have like a kind of an obsessive personality where you like latch on to something and then you want it to be exactly how you envision it. And so you have like a lot of attention to detail. You put a ton of effort into all of your games and videos and everything. Um, are you just that way with game development, or do you have that sort of passion or effort that goes into other areas of your life?
It really depends because I like my English teacher could have asked me to write an essay and I'll do it on the bus there. I don't care. So I think it really is driven by passion. And sometimes like it gets like too obsessive where I end up hating what I make, even though it's probably pretty good.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's when like I won't talk to any of my friends for a while because I'm like so like engrossed in what I'm making.
Mm-hmm.
And like even my girlfriend, like she's sometimes like, man, you haven't talked to me in like 7 hours. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, sorry, I was changing this feature, and she's like, talk to me, please. And actually, sorry, that's one thing I wanted to ask you because I heard Thomas Brush talk about it as well. Like, he said his wife sees his game as his mistress.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when I asked my girlfriend, or not, sorry, I didn't even ask my girlfriend. She's been telling me that the whole time.
Yeah.
I thought that was like a me specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just curious, is that something in your life?
It's not, and I think it's because it's interesting for me because I was making video games at a game studio and I was like a gameplay programmer and and that was like a really good job for me. I loved it, but I wanted to have more creative liberties in the rest of the process and learn the business of making and selling games and all of that stuff and have sort of the freedom and autonomy that goes with doing everything solo. And so from the very beginning, I have approached game development very practically. And what that has meant for me so far is that I make really small games. And so that's and I think that's some aspects of that are positive and some are negative. I think that there's less of an appeal, like I'm making games that people are less excited about than if I were to take on like a passion project. And I actually have I have an idea of like what I would call like a passion project that I want to start working on maybe late this year or early next year. Yeah, yeah, we'll see.
That's exciting.
Yeah, but I don't think I have that sort of relationship with the games that I'm creating because I am intentionally limiting the scope of the games that I'm allowing myself to create, and that's because I want to mostly like build the trust with myself that I can actually finish games and release them, and then also learn all of the technical skills for porting to all of the different major console platforms, and learn more about marketing and like improve some art skills and stuff like that. So all of this stuff goes, and like I'm building like a library of code that I can use for like different utilities and like my own menu system and UI and controller stuff. And so there's all of this stuff that is like kind of foundational to where I want to take the games that I make in the future. And so because of that, I don't have like an obsessive romantic relationship with the games that I'm working on, but I think it will probably tend towards that in the future.
Yeah. Because what was I gonna say? My mind went blank as soon as I said the first word of my sentence. Yeah, you don't have a romantic relationship, but you might. Yeah, so just I guess be careful
Yeah.
because it can actually really like impact relationships, and I've seen that happen in my life. So
Yeah.
it's something to look out for, but it's also so like hard to avoid because it's really easy for you to like rationalize it in your head. You're like, oh well, I'm making a game and I'm gonna sell it for money for us, you know?
Yeah. Right.
And then she's still like, well, you should hang out with me instead of the game
Yeah.
first.
Exactly.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. I think that it's interesting too. I think it might be a little easier for me a little bit because of like I've been working from home since 2018, I think. And so it's like that's like 7 years I've been working from home. And so I've been able to cultivate a much better like work-life balance. And like my wife and I have talked about it where, I have like this separate room that's like my office, and then like if the door's closed, then like you can text me but don't like come in because I might be like in the middle of, like programming something that's really intense, or like I might be in a call or something. But I'm also a lot better at like what are my work hours, and when do I check out of work, um and especially with like a baby too, like I want to be around for the afternoon where we can like have dinner as a family, and then baby goes to bed, and then eventually my wife goes to bed, and then I stay up and work a little more. So it's like that kind of flexibility. But I think cutting out that work-life balance, I'm trying to make my work hours like benefit my overall life, instead of like
Hmm.
being a slave to my work hours. So, but then, I'm not always as productive as I want to be, and I have to grapple with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a like hard thing to grapple with actually, because sometimes like it can just feel awful because you might have made a bunch of progress last week, and then this week it's just nothing.
Yeah,
And you just
exactly.
like, you have nothing to show anyone. Like, hey, you've been in your room for all week. What have you been up to? And you're like,
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think, well, for me, what worked, and I think a lot of people who are watching it could work for, would be like, just like you don't need like 7 hours on TikTok every
Hmm.
day. Like,
Yeah.
and like, even if you cut that down like half every day, or you just tell yourself, oh, I'm only allowed to go on it after 7 p.m., like it
Yeah.
just makes such a huge difference because
Mhm.
you just have a bunch of time all of a sudden, and you're not distracted. And it's
Yeah.
just really, I think that's where like I see like a lot of my friends and my friends in college, and they're like, they've kind of fallen into this trap, but it's like not their fault. It's just how the world is right now. But like, there's so many things that just suck you in, and you
Yeah.
just lose your time. And yeah, so
Yeah. I started reading this book called Flow. I forgot what the byline is, but it was
I think
recommended.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it was recommended by Jonas Tyroller. I don't know,
Oh,
in one of his videos or a podcast or something related to game design. So I bought it thinking, okay, this will help me, be a better game designer. And there is a bit of that where it's like, what makes something fun or enjoyable, or like, but really it's very existential. It's like, how do you live a meaningful life? And it's like,
damn.
it's like a lot of psychology. And, but one of the things and it was written a long time ago too, but one of the things that the author says that has really stuck with me is that your most important resource in your life is your attention.
Mm-hmm.
And because that's where everything comes from. You can't do anything in your life unless you give it your attention. And that's the thing that's most under attack in this day and age, because every app on your phone, and every show, and like everything, they just want your time, and if they can't have your time, then your attention. And I
Yeah.
just thought that was so interesting, and it really manifested to me when I was in Iceland, actually, because of the time change. I couldn't sleep when I was supposed to be sleeping. I was like wide awake
Mm-hmm.
in the middle
Mm-hmm.
of the night. And so for a few days, probably 3 days, I was just up laying in bed trying to sleep for like 2 or 3 hours. And I just let my mind run. And it was
Oh
crazy
yeah.
how much stuff I had, like garbage that had collected that I just had to sift through. And like I was remembering all of these things and like conversations and all this stuff. And then I felt like I like cleared my inbox. And then I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I feel like so at peace right now because I don't have anything like tingling the back of my mind that I have to like work through. And I felt like I was able to just churn through it. So I'm trying to figure out
Yeah.
how I can take that experience and incorporate it into my daily life here now. So
Yeah, like time off I think is super important even
yeah.
for like I learned that the hard way cuz I kind of after my October devlog,
Hmm.
I like crashed. I don't know what happened to me, but I was I remember it was the day my video hit 200,000 views and I was like, man, that's crazy. How do I even like respond to this?
Yeah.
And and I went on a walk. I literally just went out and I just started thinking and I was like, I haven't done anything recently. I've just been working on my video and like man, the fresh air just smells so good today, and
Yeah.
like wow, there's birds.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
And so
Nothing's
like it
radioactive
was
out here.
and it was just such a lovely walk. It was
Hmm.
like and I just and I okay, I don't like when people just stay in their head. Like
Hmm.
they're constantly thinking. I think that's really bad for you. But in during that walk specifically, like just being with myself in silence was like really good. And I just
Hmm.
got to process everything that I was feeling. Cause I had this certain like feeling after that devlog. I was like, I kind of achieved what I wanted.
Hmm.
Like it blew past my expectations. My sponsor payment was maxed out at
Hmm.
200K, and I was like, what now?
Hmm.
And like I didn't feel any different from the day before, and it's like,
Hmm.
I should have.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not saying I'm like struggling from success. It's like something people might not realize unless they went through it themselves. Like when you get something you want, you probably won't feel any different.
Yeah. Totally.
And yeah, so that time with myself was really important, and I took it really easy for like the next month.
Hmm. Yeah, that's so good. And yeah, there's so much that goes into that. I've been thinking about the difference between like rest versus like recharging because I think there's a difference because I think you can like
Mhm.
it's restful, like you feel like you're resting if you're like sitting on your couch watching Netflix, but you don't like feel better afterwards necessarily. But something that recharges you like a walk or like getting outside, like it actually takes effort to do that, but then I think it actually like multiplies like the return that you get for stuff like that. I don't know I don't have like a good rule of life for that, but it's just been on my mind a lot. Like, okay, how can I not just seek to rest and like limit my energy output, but actually like invest into things that will pay dividends to my life?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think just pick something like if someone's like struggling to find something that recharges them, like first of all, ditch the phone. Like
Yeah.
that's not going to recharge you.
Yeah.
Just yeah, like try go outside. If you really don't want to go outside, try like I don't know, if you're feeling creative, try write a short story. I don't know.
Mhm.
Maybe it could work. Maybe
Yeah.
you'll love short story writing after that.
Yeah.
Or like what helped with me, it sounds kind of pretentious, but like I started writing like poems,
Mm-hmm.
but like for no one, it was just like my thoughts,
Yeah.
and it like helped as well. It like recharged me,
Mm-hmm.
and I enjoyed it. So like I started doing that more, and like that's a new hobby now that I
Yeah.
have that I didn't have before.
That's awesome. Yeah. I like poetry a lot. I've never written any, but I love the aspect of like it's kind of like that thing about like attention is your most important resource. Like people who write poetry, you are like looking around at your life with intentionality and you are like trying to like unwrap the things that aren't immediately obvious or like you're like paying homage to the things that are like beautiful or hard or like I don't know. There's just something about like poetic language I think that you get to appreciate things. It's almost like taking like a magnifying glass to the things around you.
Yeah, and I just love like just the concept of like the techniques. Like you do like a metaphor, and like when you see that in a poem and you like you first just read it like verbatim as it is, and then you like read into it and you're like, whoa, there's meaning, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like that's just so interesting to me. And I try bring that stuff also into my game.
Hmm.
And like I'm inspired by a lot of different like art forms and just things, I think.
Yeah. One of the things that I was really impressed with was during the Blackthorn Prod competition where they had the twist where I forgot who it was, but somebody gave you the challenge of incorporating a rainbow into your game, which is like a
Mm-hmm.
pretty like that's a they definitely looked at your game and they're like, what's the opposite of this to make it like very hard, you know? And I thought your
Mm-hmm.
implementation of like maybe you can describe how you put it into people who haven't seen it, but I thought it was really interesting and a good way to integrate the twist.
Thank you. Yeah, so it was basically I was told to add rainbows, and my game was a survival horror game set in a dark, moody forest.
Yeah.
And you know, like the way rainbows happen isn't even possible when you have a huge canopy above you, so I really had to just get creative. And I didn't really have a solution for that when I first saw it. And again, like time away helped me. So
Hmm.
I think I was in the shower. I actually do I preach showers but on my channel, but it really works. Like
Yeah.
I come up with the most like craziest things in the shower. And that's when I came up with Painbow. So basically it's a rainbow in the forest where the pain out of an animal kind of rises up and out and then gets absorbed into the forest. And yeah, that just came to me.
Yeah.
I don't really know how I came up with it.
Yeah, it's such a good integration, I thought. But I
Thank
found the
you.
same for showers and also I have a husky and we go for runs multiple times a
Mm,
week. And so when I'm running and when I'm in the shower, those are when like ideas hit me more than anything else. And the runs kind of suck because then I'm like trying to type on my phone as I'm like jogging and it's like so hard to type anything on my phone to remember it, but those seem to be like the two consistent times where my mind is just like freed up.
yeah. Yeah, I think actually runs are really good to just blow off steam as
Mhm.
well. Like
Yeah,
if you just had a big mental workload, like a run will do it. I actually
totally.
did one this morning because I was kind of stressed about the call.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, I was gonna do it before the call too, and I was like, I don't think I have enough time, so I'll probably do it after we get off the call here. But
Mm.
yeah, yeah, it's like yeah, it's dude, exercise. It's been a theme for a lot of these podcast recordings that I've had with different game developers. I'm I'm sitting on like 5 or 6 recordings of other developers that I still need to like post,
Ooh.
but so I know I'm like really behind, but I was in Iceland for 2 weeks, so cut myself some
Yeah.
slack.
Yeah.
But it's something that comes up with so many people, and it's like, and I think it's because being a game developer and also making YouTube videos, it's like very demanding and oftentimes lonely too. And so there's like a lot of, there's some sort of like healthy habits that people kind of discover on their own. And it seems like a lot of people are coming to the same conclusion that exercise is a pivotal part of like keeping your body engaged when you have like a period of your life where you're at your desk a lot. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been so good for me personally.
Yeah, I get the same thing. So I do like okay, I told you I don't like schedules, so again, this is kind of choppy, but usually 4 days a week in the gym for me is like
Yeah.
normal. And like I love doing it in the morning before I work
Hmm.
because after like I already have this like sense of accomplishment, like I've done the hardest thing in my day and like
Hmm.
everything else is going to be easier.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd definitely recommend just something. You don't need to like get a bench press world record.
Right.
You can just go for a jog
Yeah.
or even a walk, like
Yeah.
just something.
Totally. Cool. I think that's all the questions that I had. Is there anything that you wanted to go over in particular before we wrap things up?
Okay, this is kind of weird, but I have questions for you.
Yeah, nice. Oh no. Time to get
Okay.
grilled.
No, you're not getting grilled. So, yeah, I just wrote up a few things that I like thought about when I was thinking about you. So, first of all, think about like nobody else. So, like, let's say you have no responsibilities, just you.
Mhm.
What's your like ideal lifestyle or like your dream? Like, are you putting out games? Are you putting out games every 5 months, or are you
Mm.
making long projects, or are you publishing for people?
Man, that's such a good question. The One of the things that I really like about game development is that you get to wear a lot of different hats, and so I like the variety in the job. Um, but that being said, I thought it was interesting that you commented earlier in this conversation that you enjoy polishing like the last 5% of a project,
Mm-hmm.
because I do not like the polishing phase and I do not like the publishing phase. And it's like
Uh-huh.
all of that. What's the phrase? Something like the last 10% is actually like the last 90% or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I do not like tying a bow on a project. I like having it shipped and being able to move on to something else, but I think ideally I would, let me think. I would probably do, if I didn't have to worry about anything else and I could just follow my creative intuition for games that I'm working on, I think I would still keep my projects relatively small, but I'd probably do like 6 to 12 months for each game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's like sweet spot as well.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
And do you think life is gonna take you there someday?
I think so. I think that like my time is split um in a lot of different directions, and like I'm trying to like make time for my family, and I'm supplementing my game sales with contract work right now, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that I think how this is most it's so hard because the stuff that I'm working on fluctuates so much from month to month. Where I have numerous games that I'm working on. I have big and small video projects. I have like 7 hours from Iceland that I'm gonna turn into like one video, and then I have like these podcast recordings that I really enjoy doing, and I put them on
Mm-hmm.
my YouTube channel. But they're like relatively low effort compared to other types of videos. And then I have like different people reaching out to me for help with their like kind of like consulting work, but also like kind of like contract freelance work. And I enjoy all of it. And so
Wow.
yeah, yeah, it's great.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And so I don't know exactly where I'll land as far as like longevity, but I'm just kind of like riding the wave of like, okay, this month I spent like almost no time on YouTube, but I made a lot of progress on this game that, and it's like even once I'm done with games, I'm like porting them to consoles. And so every day is just like, it's great because I have a huge backlog. And if I don't feel like doing something, I can just do whatever seems most appealing to me and still be productive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I feel like I feel like within the next year or two, I'll get to the point where I consolidate my schedule to be focusing primarily on one bigger game. And I think like the game that I'm going to be focusing on next, I'll probably shop around for a publisher for, which will be nice because if I can
Ooh,
get
okay.
funding for that, then it'd be a lot easier um, to find people and time to separate that, because I would love to get an artist to help work on the project too. So anyway,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And it actually kind of mirrors like kind of what I feel as well. Like my dream would probably be um I know it sounds bad to my audience, but like just disappear for a while and then
Mm-hmm.
come out with one long devlog of a
Mm-hmm.
brand new game I made
Yeah.
and then disappear for another while.
Yeah.
And then I just like I feel like it would be really rewarding like as a video as well, cuz you just get, as you said earlier, like start to finish.
Yeah.
And you just get to see the whole thing and you get to play it straight away because
Right.
it would launch with the video, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of my dream. that I'd
I don't know
probably
if you've have
do.
you played The Elder Scrolls Oblivion?
No, I actually
Okay.
haven't.
It's the one before Skyrim, and it was
Mm.
like one of my favorite games when it came out. And just this morning, Bethesda announced that they're doing a remastered version, and they
Ooh.
were like, "Here's like they did like this whole video, and they're like, here's all the things that are new about it. Like it looks amazing. They made all these upgrades to it. It was released in 2006, so 20 years ago, and
Yeah,
uh, and they were like, and it's available right now." And so they
that's
just they
cool.
announced it and dropped it in the same day, and I
Oh
like
yeah.
doing that is like kind of like marketing suicide for people who are like trying to sell indie games, most of the time. But
Mm-hmm.
if you have the following, I think it's like it's a really cool thing for people who care about the projects that you just get to like see it and then play it immediately. So
Yeah, like I'd totally try it.
yeah.
Yeah. And also, just I think I forgot to mention this, but if like anyone here is a game developer, just go play like other games. Like I don't care what you play. Literally like don't like fish around in a certain genre, just like find something and try it cuz the amount of things that I've learned from just trying like games I didn't think I'd enjoy
Yeah.
is like crazy. And like there was a game I recently played, Frostpunk.
Mm-hmm.
You might have heard it. Yeah, it's like really good game, and like I didn't expect it to take such a human turn because I thought it was just a like base building game. But
Mm-hmm.
realistically, it's about like how people are affected by the way their like government operates and
Mm-hmm.
how like you need to like their needs evolve over time and how like you can create suffering with systems and it's just yeah.
Interesting.
Anyway, so just try other things because I would never have learned that if had I not played a game that I didn't think I'd enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great advice.
Yeah, I have a few more questions, but if it's getting too long for you, then we
No,
can leave it.
I'm good. I don't have any commitments, so
Okay, me neither. Do you want to do an all nighter?
yeah, let's go. 24-hour stream.
So, uh, okay. Do you see games as more entertainment or art?
Oh, that's such a good question. I was thinking about this just yesterday because the game that I developed while I was in Iceland, just a super simple, like couch co-op 2D platformer where you run around and shoot arrows at each other and try and kill each other, and it's just like very very simple. I wanted to make something that I could approach a stranger with a controller in my hand and say like, "Hey, do you want to play this?" And then they knew
Mm-hmm.
immediately how to play and just really easy to pick up. Um, and I was thinking about the different genres of games and how like a couch co-op multiplayer game, the experience is so different than like a single player narrative driven game, and it's hard to almost put them on the same in the same category because the
Mm-hmm.
experiences are so different. Because when I think about like a party game, that is just like it's for fun, or like old arcade games, or like kind of like more classic video games. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but then yeah, it's a really hard thing because then you also have to define what art is. But I feel like video
Yeah.
games are definitely art. I feel like the medium used to just be for fun, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's developed into something a lot more meaningful where it's like its own art form. And you have like really really awesome games like that tackle hard topics like
Mm-hmm.
Celeste and Sea of Solitude and
Oh yeah.
um, Journey, and like all of these things. That I actually have a book on my shelf that has a screenshot of Journey, and it's I forgot what it's called, like emotional design, or like how games make us feel, or something like that. I
Oh yeah.
I can't remember
Mm-hmm.
what the title of the book is, but it's on my list that I want to get to soon. Um,
Yeah. Because yeah, I feel
yeah.
like you can definitely take a very emotional route with a game,
Mm-hmm.
which is where I mostly stand.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's so I'd see my games as more of an art than entertainment. Like
Yeah.
I don't really care if someone comes away from my game and says, "Oh, I didn't have fun." Like I don't care.
Yeah.
That's not what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think an interesting analogy is like, shows are different because they're not interactable. But my wife and I just watched the first episode of the new season of Black Mirror, and
Mm.
it just like it was really well done, and I was engaged with it, but I just like hated it, and but it
Mm.
was like it was good. I think it was good, but it just I it and I think it did such a good job of pulling me in and putting like my thoughts into the perspective of the characters, that I just really despised it, and I think
That's
that that's
really
like
good.
what good art does.
Mm-hmm.
So and it just I just keep like thinking about it, and there's like so many things that go into it, and yeah. So uh, games like that. I'm trying to think if there's been a game that I've experienced like that, and I don't think there has been.
Like, the Black Mirror episode.
Yeah,
Kind of just.
yeah. So, something that I feel like, oh, this is really good and engaging, but it's like messing with my emotions in a way that I just feel I don't know exactly how to say it. Just like
I get what you mean though.
unhappy to
Yeah,
be there.
it's
Yeah,
that's what horror is. Like
yeah,
I love that. And
yeah,
there's horror games that I will never touch again. I really don't want to go back there
yeah,
mentally. But it was so good.
yeah,
And I kind of want to deliver a similar thing with Vermin, but not sticking to my game. Like I just think, yeah, like if you want to experience something like that, definitely check out like more horror games because
yeah,
some of the atmospheres are so awful. Like you just it like hurts and like you like you feel like you've gone through like depression
yeah.
just for being there, and I
Yeah,
think that's really good. I think a
totally.
horror game that makes you never want to play it again is the best horror game.
Yeah, yeah. So many developers are focused on replayability, but I think that's so true, huh? I
Hmm.
haven't played a lot of horror games.
Okay, if you want something short but
Mhm.
it's gonna make you feel exactly that, there's this game on HIO that I recently discovered. It's called Anatomy,
Okay.
and it explores the human's relationship with a house
Hmm.
and how when you go to bed, you're trusting the house to not let anyone stand next to you,
Oh wow.
and how when a house is left alone, it slowly starts to open its mouth to get people to walk back in because it's hungry. And it's just it's such a good
Whoa.
concept, and
That's
and it
so
explores the
interesting.
thing so much.
Huh.
It's
Okay.
really good.
Awesome. I'll
So
have to
I
check it out.
and it took me like what hour 20 minutes to
Okay.
finish. Yeah.
Awesome. That's really neat. I love that concept a lot.
Hmm. And then um we did actually answer a few of these just naturally during the talk, but I have okay, we might have answered all of them because
Nice.
I also had another one saying why games, but you already said
Oh yeah.
multiple hats. Oh, I'll let you answer it again if you would like.
Yeah. It's interesting. I did touch on the fact that I had kind of like a quarter life crisis where I was like, okay, I want to take control of where my career is going, and make sure that I'm at least headed in the right direction, so that I can grow
Mm-hmm.
towards a long term goal of what I want my job to look like. Um, the process for that was really interesting because um, it revealed something that I didn't know about my relationship with my job that was actually a lot more profound than I thought it would be. And as part of trying to figure out what I wanted to do for my job, uh, I made like a spreadsheet and I made a video
Mm-hmm.
about this, but I made a spreadsheet, and I made different categories for how to rank a potential job or career path. And it made me realize that there's so many things that go into what would give you fulfillment in a certain job position.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to think it was like, do you like it and how much do you get paid? And those are like,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
two things that lots of people consider immediately. But then there's other things like, how difficult is the job? what hours are you working? Is there any flexibility in your hours? Is there opportunities to grow? What is the social aspect like? Do you enjoy your coworkers? Um, and there's more, but all of these things just made me realize that like, and I listed like a bunch of different career paths. If I were to stay at my previous job, or if I were to do like freelance work, or if I were to like make my own video games and other stuff. And I realized that the things that I prize most is like creative outlet
Mm-hmm.
and autonomy over my time. So
Yeah.
that's like those are the two things that I weighted as like the highest things. I wanted to be able to work on things that I found creatively fulfilling, and I wanted to be able to say, oh, I'm gonna go take a 2 hour lunch with my buddy, and then I'm going to be able to work at like 11 p.m. tonight. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something
Yeah.
that you can't do at a normal job. And so, um, those two things were the biggest things, and then also like a big motivator was my daughter being born. So when I left my day job, it was like 6 months before my daughter was born. So we knew that she was coming, and I wanted to like establish myself in a way where I could be able to um, prioritize like family time and be able to
Mm.
be present, not like at an office or whatever. So those are some of the thoughts that I had around
That's really
why I went into
beautiful.
game
Yeah.
development. Yeah.
And you have it now.
Yep.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's I the money thing is hard because it's like I'm making like drastically less money than I did at my previous 9 to 5 job. But it's also like the money that I am making feels more rewarding,
Like
because it's
earned.
like I'm making like I'm like if you go to a day job, you can have a sick day, you can like use like a vacation day, or like you can like show up and just like be mentally checked out, and like you get
Mm-hmm.
paid the same for all of those
Yeah.
things. But for what I'm doing, I'm like creating value out of nothing, and it's like the fact that people are like paying for games that I'm making, and like watching videos that I put on YouTube, and like um all of this stuff, it's just it's a lot more rewarding, and it continues to compound, and I think I'll be pretty happy financially in the
Mm.
long term. So
And that's good, especially because like as you build your skills, you're building your fan base, and you're
hmm
building just this foundation for yourself. And
yeah,
so it's never like in a 9 to 5 where you've reached your topmost position and there's nowhere to grow.
yeah,
It's like it's so I think that's a really exciting part of working for yourself. There's no limit. There's
yeah,
literally like any money you say could be possible. Like
yeah.
no one can say that it's wrong,
hmm
you know? And
Totally.
that's exciting.
Yeah.
So I think that's all my questions.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That was great. I love.
That was
Um.
really good.
I. Those are insightful. I like. This is a podcast that I was excited to chat with you about, because I think that you just have a very unique um perspective on game development and YouTube in
Mhm.
particular, and like we've chatted a little bit offline, but not about like a lot of this sort of like core motivations, or like the things that like processes and stuff like that. Like you've
Yeah.
given me some feedback on YouTube thumbnails and stuff in the past, but
I was so embarrassed after that cuz
why?
like it's like I felt like I was actually kind of helping with the thumbnail, and I didn't really know what your video was about. So
Oh yeah,
so I made this like Mr. Beast looking hand is
yeah, yeah,
in the
yeah,
grass, big red circle,
yeah,
and then you send me a picture of your family, and I was like, "Oh, it's that type of video."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like, oh, I felt so embarrassed after
Oh,
that.
that's
Actually,
funny. I thought it was actually super valuable.
thanks.
Yeah, no, I feel like I'm really bad and that video absolutely flopped compared to my other videos too. So
Mm,
it's like it is what it is. Some of the videos that I post are just for me, I think, and that was one of them.
yeah,
So,
that's good.
but yeah.
I think I actually remember you saying you made some of your videos as like a time capsule you can watch back. Or I
Yeah.
think I was playing Enter the Gungeon while I was listening to that, so I don't really remember exactly
Yeah.
what you said. But
Yeah, something
yeah.
like that. It's yeah, some videos are for me, and like I made a video when I hit 10,000 YouTube subscribers, and that video also flopped, and it was but
Mm-hmm.
it's just like I'm very proud of it, and I can go back
Yeah.
and just, it is like a time that I can that's been captured that I can go back and rewatch when I want.
That's
So,
really cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I just had another question.
Yeah, hit me.
I just remembered something. So, is there like any part of your I don't know, come up or like your growth where
Mhm.
you in the moment you really regretted it, like you just wished it never happened, and now when you look back, you're like, I would not be here without it.
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, I mean, I think one of the big things was the first job that I had after graduating college was the one that I was relatively content with, and I had good friends there, and I made good friends with my coworkers. And then we moved away. I was living in LA, and then we moved up
Mm.
north, and they allowed me to continue working there remotely. And that's when I realized that I was getting a lot of fulfillment from like my interactions with coworkers and stuff, but the
Mm-hmm.
actual work that they had me doing um, was like very unfulfilling. And so when I was sitting in an empty room by myself on my laptop, it was it was actually kind of a rough time for me, because I moved there, and my wife and I didn't have like any community where we were living, and like no friends or family. And so
Mm.
um, there like I remember that period of my life being very lonely, but that was also when I realized that like without that discontentment I wouldn't have thought like, okay, what do I want to do with my life in general and also my career, to just like pursue the things that I think will fulfill me in a better way. And so I think without that time of my life, and it was like a couple years, I wouldn't have
Ooh.
thought deeply enough about what I want to do with my job that I would have like, because before I was just like, oh yeah, making video games would be fun or whatever, but I don't think that I would ever be like a person to do it. And then I started like that was when I started making games in my spare time and like making like the really crappy tutorial versions of games, um and like when I started applying to a bunch of different jobs, like my goal was like all I want to do is find some employer that will pay me to like open Unity. That's all I want. I don't care
Mm-hmm.
what I'm making. I don't care what the project is. Like if I can open Unity and get paid at least minimum wage to do it, then like it'll set me on the trajectory that I want to go into. And so um that's one that stands out to me, is like it was like a not a very fun period of my life, but I
Mm-hmm.
think that it was like um, one that was pretty foundational to making myself ask some deeper questions.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like actually for anyone actually then listening, if you're going through one of these times, look at where Thomas got. He
Yeah.
got
It's true.
he he found himself and he made his way out of it as a better man. So don't be
Yeah.
too hard on yourself.
Yeah, like there's a quote that I think is very significant where it's like you overestimate what you can do in a week but underestimate what you can do in a year or something like that. And it's like so true. Like I realized that my path getting into game development was always the slow path. Like I knew that I eventually wanted to make my own indie games, and
Mm-hmm.
but my process was like, okay, in evenings and weekends I'm going to learn the basics of game creation and like going through Unity tutorials. And then my next step is I want to get paid to learn how to work in Unity more. And so then I worked at a game studio as a gameplay programmer for 3 years. And I knew that wasn't where I wanted to end, but I knew that that was just like the next step in the process. And so
Mm-hmm.
now I'm like at this step of the process where I'm like, okay, like I'm figuring out how to like do publishing and marketing and all of that stuff, and not making enough money for me to continually do it full time without supplementing with contract work here and there, you know. So it's just like I'm trying to approach it very practically, and I think that there's a lot of like a lot of people can do that because it's less risky than like quitting your job and going all in on one project that you're hoping will make you a full-time salary, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, and then you work on it for like 7 years, and it's like no savings can support you through that time.
Right. Totally.
Okay, so now I'm done with questions.
Oh, nice. No, I love that.
Yeah.
That's fun. I usually come to these podcasts prepared with questions for my guests, and I like when they have their own questions too, and it's more of like a dialogue. So this was an easy chat. You're like a really, really interesting person to pick your brain. So I appreciate you coming on and giving me your time. We almost hit 2 hours now. That's pretty impressive.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Is this your longest podcast?
I think I had one other one that went around 2 hours that I haven't posted yet, and I can't remember.
Okay, we need to break the record.
Oh yeah.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, we can just keep we'll
both like walk away. We'll both walk away, get a glass of water, and then come back to say bye.
Yeah. Come back. Meet me back here in 45 minutes and we'll say bye. That's awesome.
No, the amount of ads that could play on the video, like, come on.
Yeah. You want to know how to ruin a retention graph? That's how you ruin a retention
Absolutely.
graph. Absolutely.
But if we promise we'll come back, people will stick around.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
That's hilarious. Cool, man. Well, Mr. Wishbone, I really appreciate it. It's been a blast. Thank you for coming on to this podcast. Hopefully we can do it again in the future. I'll leave links below in the description for your YouTube channel and for your Steam page for Vermin. Is there anything else that you want to plug that I can link?
No, I'm okay.
Okay, cool.
I want to plug Thomas for having me on. So go subscribe, everyone.
Yeah, hit subscribe. Let's go. No, I appreciate that, man. Well, thanks again.
Thank you.
Boop.